And a lot of people are like, I love my providers or the people I work with, but the system of healthcare is so
Mhm.
complex and challenging. And so we are trying to do it very different. We provide care all across North Idaho. And so we have, different clinic locations, but we're building this model here in Coeur d'Alene that we're going to expand, but we call it the Center for Healthy Living. And I want to change the way people think about healthcare. It's not just going to the doctor's office and getting a pill because you feel sick and something's wrong. We have got to get in front of healthcare. We need to eat better, we need to exercise, we need to take care of our
Yeah.
mental health. We need to do these things that make sense for our bodies. And the only way to do that is to really partner with somebody within the healthcare system that can help guide you and walk through that and then have that access to knowledge. And so we've built what we call the Center for Healthy Living.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Business of Learning podcast. My name is Joan Camargo, and my guest here today is Mike Baker, who is the CEO at Heritage Health. Mike, thank you so much for being on, and welcome to the podcast.
Of course, thank you. It's an honor to be here. Really excited for a good conversation.
I am excited as well, and especially because of so many of the things that we spoke about in our first chat, but nobody was part of that. So why don't we start off with you just telling everyone a little bit more about Heritage Health, who you guys are, who you hope, and if you're open with sharing what led to the beginning of this entire thing as well, it would be great to hear.
Yeah, no, we have an incredible founding story. It's like the superheroes, they always have like their beginning story.
Yeah.
Um, so Heritage Health, we are a federally qualified health center in North Idaho. Not everybody knows what a federally qualified health center is, but we are we're your primary care doctor. We are here for anybody that needs us. You can find a community health center all across the country. There's likely one nearby your town where you live. So if you need healthcare, go there. They're great. Now
Mhm.
ours is very special. We were founded by this incredible lady named Lydwen Dernie. She left Holland during World War II. So she escaped as the bombs were coming in. She was able to get out of Holland. She made her way to Canada, and then she made her way into North Idaho. She was this incredible, almost like feminist leader within the Catholic Church, this power woman within
Mhm.
the church in our community. And she actually had a neighbor. She was a young mom and she passed away because she didn't have access to healthcare. She had diabetes and just wasn't able to take care of it.
Mhm.
And Lidwin just said, "Oh, hell no, we're gonna do something about this." And so she got a group of volunteers together, and they started a volunteer clinic. It ran Tuesday, Thursday night. Started around 5 o'clock, went till about 8:30 every night,
Mhm.
and it was staffed by volunteer doctors. And they did that from 1985 till about 2004. And they helped a ton of people in the community, and it was this wholly volunteer led thing. And that never quit attitude that she had and she brought to it, just that's part of our DNA. And so
That's
we've
awesome.
been able to take that and do some really cool things with it, that we can talk about as we go on. But
Yes.
the founding story of this is, seriously, it's just all about love for community, and it's baked into everything that we do. It's incredible.
That's so awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I always like to hear how things got started, especially when it's something like that, where it's such
Yeah.
a powerful beginning. Why don't we dive into a little bit more of, um, I guess the things that go on at the facility, because someone might hear, yes, it's the physicians, it's the doctors, it's all these things, but what is the main services or the main things happening there? And you guys again are a little bit of a different one, where it's not a specified single thing. There are many things that you can get help, and that you can help with all of these patients. So tell me a little bit more about that, and then I would love to dive into asking you about the book that you just wrote, and we'll talk about that as well.
Sure. No, that sounds great. Um, Healthcare is complex, and honestly, if you ask almost anybody, they're like, if are you happy with the healthcare that you're receiving or the healthcare system in general? And a lot of people are like, I love my providers or the people I work with, but the system of healthcare is so
Mhm.
complex and challenging. And so we are trying to do it very different. We provide care all across North Idaho. And so we have, different clinic locations, but we're building this model here in Coeur d'Alene that we're going to expand. but we call it the Center for Healthy Living. And I want to change the way people think about healthcare. It's not just going to the doctor's office and getting a pill because you feel sick and something's wrong. Like, we have got to get in front of healthcare. We need to eat better. We need to exercise. We need to take care of our
Yeah.
mental health. We need to do these things that make sense for our bodies. And the only way to do that is to really partner with somebody within the healthcare system that can help guide you and walk through that, and then have that access to knowledge. And so we built what we call the Center for Healthy Living, and we're in phase one. Phase one has brought together all of our behavioral health services. So it's your therapist. So we have our therapist, our substance use treatment therapist. We have our psychological testing. We have our psych med management. So
Mm,
all of the things that you need within that behavioral health space, you can get within one visit. And there's
mhm,
just been incredible magic that's happened when you bring people together that have that common mission.
mhm,
I got a story from our one of our providers the other day. He's like, I got this. I've been working with this lady for a couple of years. She was in the 10 minutes where it sounded like it was a good idea to stop taking meth. I was able to walk her to the substance use treatment therapist and get her connected. In the past,
mhm,
we would have had to have said, go down the street, make an appointment. They can't get you in for a couple weeks. Like, we have same day access, so we can catch people now when they're ready to make a change and connect with them. And then phase two is all about bringing in the medical, dental, and then food is medicine, and the physical fitness component. So you can show up, and we're going to teach you how to live a better life and tie it all in with the healthcare system. So it's so
yeah,
exciting to see healthcare, and especially the primary care realm, look
mhm,
different, because
yeah.
it needs to be different.
Yeah, and that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Much,
Yeah.
much better than the way that I was able to ask the question.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Yeah.
It's interesting because it's like a powerhouse where you get all the things that you need without the weight, without the disconnect that happens in these usual systems. Because I'm sure this is a little bit similar in the U.S. I'm in Toronto, so it's the healthcare system is much different. But
Yeah.
do you know that going through the primary care, going to the general practitioner, and you need something that's very specialized, it's a couple months until you actually get to the
Yeah.
actual to the real issue to be solved. But
Hmm.
that couple months sometimes can be a long, long wait for someone who has a huge
Right.
desire and a huge need, just as the example that you shared. So it's really, really awesome to see a place where it can all be taken care of. So thank you for sharing that. And
Yeah, we're welcome.
finally, yeah, how does that all tie into the book that you wrote? Tell me a little bit more
Oh,
about the book
you know,
and how that went.
yeah, that's funny. So my life is intermingled in so many different ways, but the book is probably, if anyone that's worked in the healthcare system, the book is probably like therapy sessions, and getting through a crazy healthcare system in the United States, right? So one of the things, like any business, we have
Yeah. Sorry, what's
challenges,
the book
right?
called again for everyone?
Sorry, yeah, the book's called The Optimist Way. So I'm known to be optimistic. Like, I
Mhm.
have a positive outlook on life. And as we've been going through some challenges, I had somebody tell me once, they're like, "You're just too optimistic," like, sort of like shaking me, like, it's almost that toxic positivity versus what I call realistic optimism, right? So
Right.
it hit me, and I was like, I need to figure out how to tell this story better, because as a leader, my job is to point to the future and a better state, even though there are challenges. Now, I can't ignore the challenges. I can't put them off to the side and just be like, yeah, everything's sunshine and rainbows. But because of the history and knowledge and the teams and the people that I have, I can look at any problem and know that we're going to get through it. Like, it might be hard. Might have to make really difficult decisions.
Mhm.
But that optimism comes from the knowledge and the power that I know that lives with inside all of us. And so
Mhm.
um, it was sort of a reaction to this comment of me being an optimist,
Yeah.
sort of being a character flaw, where I get it. I understand that it can be. And in my early career, I was
Mhm.
probably a lot more sunshine and rainbows. But as I've learned lessons, I've tried to be a lot more realistic in my optimism and bring that together. So the book is just a bunch of like it's written to be short passages. You read it every day. It kind of guides people through like what optimism is and why it makes sense and how to use it.
Mhm.
And then it's been really fun because I've started writing music and I've done art, and I've harnessed AI tools and all of this to help me get the stuff out of my head
Yeah.
into life. And so I tried to tie it all together with the book. So there's songs about healthcare. There's like my most recent album is all about mental health and like personal journeys through that, through the lens of myself, through the lens of my friends and family.
Yeah.
And so it's just been really fun to tie it all together, and then doing
Yeah.
all of that in a space of healthcare and trying to lead a team. So that was a pretty long-winded answer to that question, but it's
No,
so
that's cool.
much fun. It's so much fun. Yeah.
That is very cool because like the things that really jump out at me there is you mentioned like the optimistic mindset and all these things. I think it's much better to be optimistic than pessimistic. Obviously, there are pros and cons to both the risk aversion and all these things. But what really jumped out at me is the grit behind it. Is the grit
Yeah.
and the purpose of, hey, I have this thing that I really am passionate about. I want to have this impact. I want to let people know that they are also able to achieve these things. And correct me if I'm wrong on anything I'm saying, but that grit, that purpose, because with purpose, then you work things out. Things will be okay, as you said. You will be able to make things happen. Whatever the way that they happen, that's a different story. Sometimes
Yeah.
the roads that we choose aren't always the roads that we have to stay on. Have to go on the side streets and then the the alleyways. But at the end of the day, if you get to the final destination, that's the most important thing. So those are the things that jumped out on me, and
Yeah, that's
it's really
great.
really cool how it ties back together there.
Yeah, there's really
One of the
power. There's power in that journey, as
Yeah.
you go through it. Like you have to experience it and bring people along. And I don't think people would look at Lydwen and the founder and say she was too optimistic, right? She had, and they
Yeah.
described her as that person having grit. Like we are never going to quit. We're never going to give up, and we're gonna solve this problem. We went when I first started here. We had about 4,000 patients that we took care of. We're about 20 to 25,000 patients now. Almost 400 staff, down from about 40. And so like it's been incredible to see the growth of the organization as we've been able to just put in the work and solve problems. So
That's
it's
awesome.
incredible. I love it. Yeah.
I like that final addition that you made because it sounds optimistic until it actually happens, until the
Yeah.
thing is achieved. And then everyone's like, oh, wow, great job. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
you called me optimistic back then. Well,
That's
look, you
right.
can do this too, right? So, like, this isn't
Exactly.
just
Just
optimism. This is
come along for the ride. And we make
exactly,
mistakes
exactly.
all along the way, and we
Yeah.
learn. I mean,
Yeah.
that's part of it. Like I tell my board and team, like every time we grow as an organization, that's the largest organization I've ever led. So I'm learning things as I grow, and so are they. And
Yeah.
that's the amazing thing about healthcare, but any other industry, right? Like
For
you
sure.
find your passion and you tackle it, and then you just like our mission is to improve life. Well, that's pretty cool. So every day we get to show up and try to figure out how to improve life, and
Yeah.
our teams are saving lives every day, and that's
Yeah.
that's a significant improvement.
Yeah. And that's amazing. And thank you for sharing that too, because I think a lot of businesses, just as your guys' business started, there's such a goal to achieve that impact. But sometimes people think that achieving that impact is, as you said, sunshines and rainbows. And we know
Yeah,
it's not. We
right.
know that business takes a lot
Yeah.
of work. And to achieve that impact, the business has to be sustainable. There has to be, of course, income coming in, revenue coming in. There has to be a foundation that allows the impact to grow. Business grow, impact grows, everybody is happy. So I wanted to
Yep.
dive into that side of the conversation.
Yeah.
As you guys are looking to keep the company growing, really achieving more impact, increasing the patients that get hope, whereas before they weren't able to do that. What are some of the obstacles that can sometimes stand in the way of the company's growth?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, every single day there's a challenge, right? So especially in the news cycle and everything that's happening on the political spectrum, healthcare has become this controversial topic in our country. And, those of us that are in it, we're like, why did we end up on the radar with this when healthcare is just, it's so important. Everybody needs to have access to
Mhm.
healthcare. We need to do it right. And so policy changes really impact us. But again, we always solve the problem. So they passed some legislation here in the U.S. that potentially has a real could have a significant impact on the healthcare system. I look at that and say, okay, there's a lot of noise right now in what everybody thinks was passed in whatever bill, but now it's our job to sort it out and figure out like how do we continue to provide healthcare
Yeah.
within this new framework. So that's a big deal. Honestly, staffing, like my plea, my hope from with this podcast is I need like the freedom justice fighter doctors that want to come join our community. So North Idaho has had its challenges in the past, and Idaho in general has been harder to recruit doctors to come to it for some various reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking for people that want to come be part of this incredible primary care front. So hopefully you've got like 10 people in your audience that are like, I want to move to Coeur d'Alene and work at Heritage Health. So that'd be great. But honestly, like that, the staffing challenges it's incredible. It's really hard to find doctors across the country, and then bringing them into primary care into Idaho,
Mm-hmm.
it just presents other challenges. Again,
Yeah, no,
all
it's interesting.
problems we can solve, but
We can definitely get
this
there.
is what we do. We go tell our
Exactly.
story.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's interesting. Thank you for sharing that as well.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask something that I probably should have asked in the beginning of the conversation, and I think we briefly touched on it in our first chat, which is how are the patients usually finding out about that you guys exist? Is it
Yeah.
really through the physicians, through their general practitioners that know of you guys and send you to the location? Is it really you guys reaching directly out to the patients, or the patients finding out about you and then they're able to go to the location? Tell me a little bit more about that dynamic as well.
Yeah, patients learn about us in a whole bunch of ways. I mean, we've been in the community for a very long time, so a lot of people know about us. But it's so funny when I'm out in the community and I say I work at Heritage Health, and somebody's like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, dang our marketing, right? So we do have to continuously, and I think like any business, you can't take for granted that people know who you are and what service you provide and
Yeah.
what value you're going to provide them. So we do a lot of outreach, we do a lot of marketing, we show up to community events. We hope that our patients have a great experience and they're telling people about it.
Yeah.
North Idaho, like many areas in the country, we've experienced significant growth over the last 10 years. Lots of people have moved away from other states and have come to Idaho. And so there's a lot like there's more demand for healthcare than our ability to provide it. We're just
Mhm.
the workforce across our state is
Yeah.
struggling to keep up.
Mhm.
And so, that's a challenge. So it's really, just out there telling our story, a
Yeah.
lot of social media, a lot of direct
Yeah.
marketing. Anytime we get a chance to tell our story, we do it. And honestly, the new building that we built where we've brought everybody together, it's on a main road, and the signage and just the lighting and visibility has it's probably been one of the best marketing tools we could ever have.
Mhm.
Because now we have people asking like, oh, hey, what is that over there? So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
been great.
No, it's interesting, and it's great that you share that as well. Because with so many other people that I speak with, too, there is the notion of demand, but also the opportunity. There are so many people that can be, I'll call it, eligible for
Hmm.
coming into to call it your business, any other business as well. But sometimes just the fact that, and tying it back to your story, they might not have the awareness that this exists. So
Right.
just giving that awareness to them just unlocks a whole new path. One, of course, for the company, but also for them too. It's like, hey, this thing that is going to really help me is literally right here in my community. Like, why wouldn't I go to that place as well? So it's interesting to hear what you guys have going on too. Um, so to answer my question, it's really, it can be both ways, but also it can sometimes be very direct in
Yeah.
people just finding out from conversations, etc., etc. So that's
Yeah,
really,
yep, absolutely. Yep. You kind of have to do the shotgun approach, right? Like lots of stuff out there, just messages everywhere you can and get people in because I mean, the last thing you want to do is miss somebody that absolutely needed us at a
yeah,
critical point in their life. And we're here. We've got resources to help everybody.
yeah,
And to have somebody feel like they're alone and isolated and can't get the help, like that's the
hmm,
thing that breaks my heart is when you hear about people
hmm,
that don't make it and God, we could have helped.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's interesting because especially now, right, with such a huge reach that is possible with social media and everything, because
Hmm.
everybody's on these places. If only they knew, then that's like one life that could have been completely changed, could have been saved,
Yep.
but in some
Yep.
cases. So it's it's great to be able to be part of. It's great that you guys are part of something that that allows for that to happen as well. So thank you for sharing all those stories too, Mike.
Yeah, of
I
course.
have a couple of final questions here for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
One is a question that I ask almost everybody on the podcast, so you will also be a victim of it, and then we'll dive into my last question. The first one is, as we talked about, business is not always sunshines and rainbows. So one thing that I always want to highlight in this podcast is the challenges that do happen, as you have already stated. But here's the switch on that question is, let's say you had a magic wand, Mike, and out of the possible many challenges that exist in business, you could just solve one that would allow you to hit, of course, your impact goals, but also the revenue goals, the client acquisition goals, all those things for the company that would allow it to keep growing. You wave that wand, that problem gets solved. What's the problem you want to solve?
I love it. That's such a great question. Honestly, the thing that gets in the way of, I would say, any business is the challenge of, I'm going to call it human pride
Okay.
that impacts culture, right? So sometimes, like as you're building the vision, you've got this dream. We can get here, but the people that we have to bring along with us don't quite see it yet, or maybe they don't like it or they fight it. And then all of a sudden you've got a few people within the organization that start to become toxic and start to just throw doubt into everything that you do. And the momentum that it takes to overcome those types of things. And it's human nature. Like we're this village, you always like, you're in high school and you have the gossipy squad, or you're at work and you have the people by the water cooler. I mean, there's
Yeah.
that part of being human that keeps all of us from reaching our potential. And it's like, if I could do a better job and communicate the why, the vision, if I could do that in a way that connects with people better, and then to have people receive it in a way where we don't have to bring it down or trash it or find the negative in it. Like imagine the energy that the global community could accomplish if we could
Yeah.
sort of push out the negativity and just focus on the positive aspects of change and say, let's go. Like we all agree that it's good to have oxygen in our lungs. It's pretty hard to like have that be controversial. So let's focus on that, bring people together, build relationships, and then use that energy to solve real problems. And so for me, that's the thing that kills us. The momentum killer is when you get people that just they don't agree with it, and then they almost like work against it, and they start to campaign to pull you backwards. And like, don't let that fear, don't let that pride keep us from moving forward. So I haven't found that magic wand yet. We try really hard with culture, but that is the one thing I'm like, I wish I could change it. And I know part of that's on me, and that's part of that's on the other side of it. But wouldn't it be so cool if we could find a path through that?
Thank you for sharing that. And
You're welcome.
it reminded me of a quote that I heard from Tony Robbins, but I don't know if he's the one that brought it up or carried it. I've heard from a million other people as well, which is where focus goes, energy flows.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And if you're just focusing, if you yourself are focusing on all the positives, and as you're talking about the optimistic side of things, but there's people just throwing that small little pinch of doubt or a small little pitch of oh, I don't know if that's the right idea, or putting obstacles in the way, that focus shifts not only for you, but also for the people that are part of the team. So it's an interesting one because, if is that magic one we solve for every single company?
I know, it's like it's the human nature side. Like it's I talk about all the time. It's like healthcare demands perfection. We have to be perfect at everything we do, but it's impossible to be perfect in what we do. So we're taking imperfect people, challenging them to do perfect work, and expecting these outcomes that I know we can find a path to it, but it'll never be perfect. So let's find a way through it and take each other with us. It's okay to disagree and say, hey, this isn't the right direction. Let's do that. But once we settle on a path, then let's go. Let's use the energy for good instead of bad. So yeah.
Because then the most important step to take is the first one, and then just go on from there. Oh, that's awesome. I really like that. Amazing. Final question that I have here for you, Mike. It's actually not a question from me. It's a question from our last guest to you, and they had no idea who you were.
Oh, cool.
Here's the question. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
The deep one. What is the hardest lesson you've learned over your career, and how did it affect you moving forward?
I love that, man. Those bakers ask really good questions.
Yeah, it was your long walk. Baker says yes.
um, Honestly, I think the hardest lesson for me, especially with the optimistic lens, is remembering. So there have been times in my career when I've ran too fast, and I'm out there and like chasing the next thing, thinking that we have things put in place, and then you find out later, shoot, I wasn't checking the rearview mirror, and my teams got hurt because of that.
Mm,
That for me, like finding the balance between that has been so important and so challenging, right?
mm,
Like I've got to do that because our job is to take people with us. And if you're driving 100 miles an hour and your team's they're going 10 miles an hour, we're not going to ever get there at the same place. And they're going to get lost along the way because there was a car accident or whatever happened.
mhm,
We have to do that. So for me, honestly, it's those really dark times that I think some of my writing, the music, the art,
mm,
it has come from those really dark times where we're having financial challenges or there's staffing challenges, that there's something, and I'm like, God, I wish I could have caught that ahead of time
mhm,
instead of now we're coming back and cleaning stuff up and dealing with,
mm,
the trauma of the experience. So, yeah, I think it's
mm.
trying to figure out the right pace and sticking with your team.
I like that. And as you're saying these things, it actually reminds me a lot of for myself
Yeah.
in that I love speed. I
Yeah.
think speed is
Oh,
such
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's such an ally for, and people say I love speed too much that I talk so fast. That's another thing though.
Yeah.
I love speed in a way that I think taking action fast is helpful for the impact, for business, for
Yep.
making more money, for having better impact, all these amazing things. But the con is sometimes we move so fast that nobody can catch up. And that's an interesting perspective that you put there, because yeah, if you're moving at different speeds, even though you're going in the same direction, you're never going to be there together in a way. So
Yeah.
very,
But I
very,
think as a CEO, right, it's important. Like I should be a little ahead of the teams, right? That's part of my
yeah,
job
sure,
is
of
to
course.
see what the next thing is. And so it's maintaining that right distance. And
Yeah,
I like the rear view mirror example. Like, can you see them? Are they 10 cars back, 2 cars back, 1 car
yeah.
back? Oh, I can see them. And then, we're in a good place. So yeah.
Yeah, are they giving you the high beams like always?
Exactly. Slow down.
Yeah. Yes, Mike, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, you're
Some
welcome.
incredible talk. I really appreciate you. Where should people go if they want to learn a little bit more about you, and of course a little bit more about Heritage Health?
Yeah, so Heritage Health, we're all over LinkedIn. Our website is myheritagehealth.org. And, anything about me, I have a website, mikebakerhq.com. And I tried to take my collective ADD brain and put it into one space. So all of the things I do are on there, and it's a great resource, fun to connect with people. So
I will leave everything down below here, including
sounds
Mike's
great.
book as well. If you want to check the book out, the Optimist Way. So I'll leave everything down below. And if you're still listening to this conversation and you want to hear more conversations like this, please hit the subscribe button, and I will see you on the next episode. Mike, thank you so much again one more time. Thank you.
Thank you.